my name is Danielle Zirkle. I'm an occupational therapy student at Nova Southeastern University. Who do I have the pleasure of talking to today?
My name's Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in today. So today we're going to be doing a couple assessments on you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So first, I'm going to conduct an assessment called the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure, or the COPM for short. This test is going to help us determine any problems that impact your performance and help us set some goals that will allow you to do what you need and want to do in your daily life. It'll also help me and you understand what's important in your life, how you feel about the way you perform, and your satisfaction overall. So I'm just going to ask you some more specific questions, but I mostly want to know what your typical day looks like, and then if you have any concerns or areas you would like to improve on within those, okay?
Okay.
So what we want to identify are some things that you may want to work on, you need to do, or is it expected of you to do, but you can't do it, you don't do it, or you are not satisfied with the way you do it. So that's kind of the definition of what we're looking for with when I say problem areas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So this is broken up into 3 main occupational areas. The first one is called self-care. So that's anything that deals with things like bathing, toileting, personal hygiene, basically anything that gets you prepared and ready to go about your day. But that also can have to do with like feeding, eating, getting in and out of bed or around the community, driving. So based off of that, when it comes to self-care tasks, what is your typical day like? And then are there any areas of concern for you?
Well, before going to work, when I get up, I take a shower, I brush my teeth. When I get home, I'd like to have a better sex life with my husband. I don't sleep as well as I used to, and a lot lately I've kind of been calling out of work sick, and I don't really get out of bed or do anything on those days.
Yeah, that all sounds like a lot, and we will address that in just a little bit, okay? Do you have any areas of concern with being able to walk around? So climbing stairs easily, getting in and out of bed, sitting down on the toilet, getting up from that. Do you have any problems with that?
I wouldn't say so.
Okay. And then, so you say you go to work. Do you drive? Do you take public transportation?
I drive.
You drive? Okay. And then would you say you don't have any issues with that?
I don't think
so. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the second occupational performance which is productivity. So this is broken up into a couple subsections. We have anything from paid or unpaid work, so your job or any volunteer opportunities that you do. Household management, things like cleaning, laundry, or things that are around school or play. And some of those may not apply, some of them may, but based off of this, what does your typical day look like? And do you have any areas of concern?
Well, I'm a second-year resident student at a fairly large hospital, and it's very important that I'm on time every day. I get there at 4 a.m. and I work for what times ends up being a 16, 17-hour shift. Um, Throughout the course of that, I'm very hypercritical of myself. Um, it's a hard day to have that long to get there on time because I don't necessarily sleep very well. And while I am there, aside from being tired, being hypercritical of myself, I don't feel great about the things that I do and the ways that I do them, and it makes me feel worse about everything that I do moving forward, and it just kind of compounds on itself.
That sounds very challenging. So you said that you don't really sleep very well. Does that ever influence your ability to get to work on time or to stay on top of things while you're in work?
Absolutely. That's
Do you mind elaborating a little?
Well, like I said, I have to be there by 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And after working what ends up usually being a 16, 17-hour shift, it becomes very challenging to not only get to sleep, but stay asleep, get up in the morning, do everything that I need to do, get there on time, and then I just feel like I'm getting through my days in a daze. I'm not really present in most things that I do, and I can't really keep up with all of the responsibilities that I have at work.
Okay, thank you for sharing. In terms of anything in the house, do you have any sort of concerns with that, with management? Again, some things may or may not apply. It's okay to say no or yes.
I'd say overall, not really. I think that food is a little bit of an issue. Just buying groceries and keeping up with preparing my meals. I don't often have enough time in the day to do what I need to do for myself, but even when I have that time, I don't feel like I take advantage of it.
Okay. So, thank you so much for sharing. And now we're going to look on the last occupational area, which is leisure. So, leisure is, any hobbies that you may have. It can be quiet hobbies or it can be things that are active. And also socializing. So, it's basically anything that is not considered work and you participate in with free, there's no obligation to be productive, So based off of that, what does a typical day look like? What kind of hobbies and things do you engage in? And do you have any areas of concern?
Well, generally I really enjoy listening to music, reading, going to movies, going to the beach, going to museums. But lately I haven't. Anytime I've had the time to do any of these, I haven't really taken advantage of it. I haven't really done anything that I enjoy in the past few weeks.
Okay, so would you say your concern is that you're not participating in these things? And okay, just want to make sure I heard you right. And for socializing, do you have any areas of concern? So I know that you said you enjoyed, going to the beach, movies, museums. Do you do any social interactions during that? Do you go with anyone?
Experiences can vary. Sometimes I'll go alone, sometimes I'll go with people. In general, I've, been known to be very outgoing and bubbly, but I'd say that in recent weeks I've been much more withdrawn and disinterested with social interactions.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how this may impact your home life? So, any roles or relationships you have at home that this may be impacting?
My husband and I recently haven't engaged in any kind of sexual activity. It's something that I feel bad about because I enjoy sex. It is expected of me, and I just have no will or desire to engage, and it makes me feel worse over time because the more I feel this way, the more I feel this way.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. I want to thank you for sharing all of those things. We're going to move on to the next section, which is now going back through what you have listed, and I want to get a sense of how these things matter to you. So right here, just so that you can see, I have a scale, a rating scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not important at all, and 10 being extremely important. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to list out the things that you told me, and I would like for you to rate them on a scale from 1 to 10 with how important they are to you. So you identified, showering, brushing teeth as one of your areas of concern. How important is that for you?
10.
Okay. And then I know that in a couple spots we've talked about your sex life and your desire to engage in it. How would you rate that on a scale from 1 to 10 of importance?
8 or 9.
And you also said that your sleep is impacting quite a lot. How important is sleep to you?
9.
9. Okay, so now back in the productivity, you identified that due to your sleep and concentration difficulties that it can be hard to engage in work and getting there on time. How important is work to you?
8.
And then you also identified buying groceries and not having enough time in order to do some basic household management. How important would you say these tasks are for you?
8.
8, okay. All right, and then we're moving to the leisure, which you identified that you have a decent amount of hobbies and enjoyments, but recently your participation has been pretty low, and enjoyment has also been low from that. But how important would you rate these? So what you said was music, reading, going to the beach, the movies, music. How important is it for you to engage in these things?
Probably 8.
8. And then, great. Now, we've got 2 more types of ratings. Actually, now, based off of these, I'll let you see it as well. I would like for you to identify the top 5 or less things that you would like to work on, the most important to you, the things you think should be addressed right away.
These top 3.
The top 3? Okay. So just to reiterate, that is engaging in preparing yourself to get ready, so showering, brushing your teeth, engaging in sexual activity, and sleep. Just want to make sure. Okay. Would you say in these 2 categories that you find something you would like to work on?
Work.
Okay. Okay, so now we have just 2 more ratings to go for those 4 things that you identified. I first want to reiterate that it's important to get a sense of your performance and satisfaction in order to look back in a couple weeks to see any progress or changes, and to help us identify now goals that can support you and work towards a really successful intervention here, okay?
Okay.
So performance basically means how you would rate the way you engage in or do the activity. So I'm going to show you the scale. Again, it's on a 1 to 10, 1 being not able to do it, and 10 being able to do it extremely well. So just going over the 4, how would you rate on a scale from 1 to 10 your performance in preparing for your day?
4.
What about your sex life? Engaging in sex, how would you rate your performance on a scale from 1 to 10?
4.
Okay, sleep, how would you rate your performance?
2.
And how about your performance at work? How would you rate that on a scale from 1 to 10?
5.
5? Okay. And now we are going to do the last portion of this assessment, which is the satisfaction. So basically, we're looking at how satisfied or happy you are with the way that you engage in this activity. So looking at these performance scale ratings that you gave, a 4, 4, 2, and a 5, we're going to look at your satisfaction levels. So again, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not satisfied at all, and 10 being extremely satisfied. How would you rate your satisfaction in your performance with preparing for your day?
2.
Engaging in sexual activity?
1.
Engaging in sleep?
1.
And engaging in work?
1.
1. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tally up all of these, and we're going to have a total score, and we're basically just going to keep a record so that we can look back in a couple weeks and see how well we've done with our goals and see if anything has changed in this, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much for being open. And next, what I'm going to have you do is 2 different checklists. The first one is an interest checklist, and basically what it's doing is asking you in the past 10 years your engagement level on different types of activities, and then within the past year, if you currently participate in this activity and if you would like to participate in the future. And then the next one is the role checklist. And the role checklist is basically just looking at different roles that you may have that you engage in. Some of these may not apply, that is okay. And then there's also a section for other. So if there's any major roles that you have, relationships, things like that, you can write that there. I am here if you need any help with this, and if you have any questions.
Okay.